some Chum Kiu material. Two of the major tools that Chum Kiu teaches that are not found in Silam Tao are going to be movement, the footwork that gets under your structure, and the concept of bridging. Okay. When we start bridging, we start thinking about bridging as any contact between you and the other person. You don't want that contact to be his fist to your nose. That's a bad bridge. We're looking for better bridges than that. But what we want to do is make sure when we're training bridges, we're training to bridge against something we're likely to run into. We talked about earlier that whole thing, if your hoofbeats think horses, not zebras, what are you more likely to run into? Okay. In Hong Kong during Ip Man's time, you know, Chwele foot, Hung Gar, monkey style, you had people fighting like that. What are the chances of us, especially here in the US or in Europe, running into Chwele foot, Hung Gar? We're more likely to run into an MMA-oriented fighter, a boxing-oriented fighter, a grappling-oriented fighter. In a real fight, if I have the opportunity, if he's pumping a jab at me, okay, instead of trying to engage his hands, I want to be moving out and taking his leg, because there's no reason for me to engage his hands necessarily if I have other options. However, there are going to be things that may change that, okay? Number one, if I'm on a slippery surface, gravel, ice, anything along that line, the last thing I want to do is pick one of my feet up off the ground, okay? I want to keep my footwork close to the ground. I want to be moving at angles that give me a better angle at the target, but take me out of his best target range. You got the side step, okay? And then you've got, after the kicking step down, the forward step. And it's actually very different. One, I'm facing, you know, if here is 12 o'clock, on one, I'm sidestepping, but I'm still focused and facing that area at 12 o'clock, okay? The other, after the kick, I'm actually facing 9 o'clock or 3 o'clock, depending on, you know, which direction I'm going, and I'm square moving forward on this, rather than it being a sidestepping type motion. Well, that side step is very important. That's the first step you actually get to in the second form. Doing the side step and then a forward step, now you've got the triangle stepping, Samgak Ma. So you got shifting, you got backward stepping in the form as well, because at the end of that section is that turn. So you've got a lot of options, especially when you start looking at the combinations of these things to plug into your fight. Now, bridging, you've got that forward fox sao, or what Ip Chun calls the Chum Kiu Tan sao. You've already got pak saos that we've worked, okay? You start putting those movements together, now you start covering angles with your stepping and moving. So I'm dealing with that same thing. He's doing that jab. As he's coming in, I may work basically in the beginning, that step. That triangle footwork, forward and in, gives me a good angle on this. What I'm doing though is I'm passing this off. My right hand's forward, I'm fine here. I want to stay away from that. I want to move to an angle that gets me out of the way of that weapon. So as this comes in, I pass that off. This hand isn't necessarily going to be a striking hand. Well, let's get to one other thing first. What's popular? He throws, I pock and hit. Simultaneous block and attack. Some Wing Chun people live and die by it, especially die by it. Okay? Because if you apply it in the wrong place, it's going to get you in trouble rather than give you an advantage. If I don't have bridge already, and that's the whole point of Chum Kiu, is that bridge, seeking the bridge. They're saying, cross a bridge to attack. If there is no bridge, build one, okay? That's the key on this. He's throwing that punch. There's no bridge yet. If I make this pak and the attack at the same time, I have no accountability of anything. So I'm hoping that my superior Wing Chun ability, and the fact that I'm fighting a guy with no skills, because that's what everybody demonstrates against, will work for me. That don't work in the streets. If I happen to have the bad luck of running into the guy nobody on YouTube ever prepares for, which is actually a skilled fighter, then we've got a problem, okay? Always assume this guy's skilled. He throws that shot, I don't want to just try to pick this up, because how many people stay right there and throw a punch? Anybody that's got any skill or training moves off of that shot. They don't stay right here and go. But Wing Chun people do. But that's on YouTube. But as I do this, he ducks. Next thing I do is control him. Okay? That control is next. Whether it's straight down or to the side, I'm creating an opportunity for me and limiting his opportunities. But you get to that control. Next thing you do is ball him. Next movement's a control. So if you start looking at the system from a control standpoint, it's like I've used the analogy with you guys before. If I'm teaching burglary, and I'm not, but if I'm teaching burglary,
That's on film.
yeah, I know, which is why I just, yeah. But if I'm teaching burglary, the skill is picking the lock, not running in and grabbing the stuff, okay? If we spend our time, every time we pick the lock, we start running in and looking around the house, we're losing opportunity to train the skill, the picking the lock. You know, once you open the door, the rest of that stuff is easy. The training for the skill is the control. The hitting becomes easy after that. Punch, kick, thumb in the eye, kick to the leg. You know, those things become easy once you learn the control. The skill is picking that lock.